Welcome to the DMF. I am your host, Justin Yance. Today, I have a special guest. I have Books My Refuge. He is an Instagram blogger, and I find it to be a fascinating interview. I'm sorry about the audio problems. We couldn't find a quiet spot, but I wanted to bring you this content, so enjoy. Okay, I have a special guest with me today. I have Chirag of Books My Refuge at Books My Refuge on Instagram. How are you doing, sir?
I'm fine, Justin. How are you?
I'm doing great. So my first question would be, what led to creating Books My Refuge?
Actually, I was reading books from the last 3 years before that. So it just came to me. I was sitting in my office working, and I just thought that why shouldn't I, make a page and post something, quotes or books or something like that, pictures, random pictures. Not that I had a vision back then that I had to reach somewhere. So I just started it, and I did not know anything about Canva, about content creation, about Bookstagram, about anything like that. So I just started it, and I was not active on that on this page for 6 months after that.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Because you come from an engineering background.
Yeah, I've done
Correct.
electronic and communication engineering. I'm a 2014 pass out.
So did the pandemic kind of lead to to Bookstagram?
Yeah, the pandemic, because I lost my job in July 2020. The pandemic
Okay.
started in March 2020. So for 2 months, I was not doing much. I was just playing, fooling around with Canva and all. And so I just started, let's just try, experiment. It will be great for my Canva skills as well. I can post content, I can make certain things here and there. So I just started it like that, and it just
What
took off. For the first 4 months, it was like nothing. It was some thousand around followers, and after that, it just took off. I don't know how.
what do you think it is about Canva that makes it so accessible for users?
Actually, it's the simplicity. I mean, it's quite simple. Anybody can use it. I think today's kids, like 5-year-old, 10-year-old, maybe not 5-year-old, but 10-year-olds can use Canva. Like they can be a pro at it if they use it for a month or two. They'll know every other feature of it, how to, add pictures, add videos, reduce the brightness, reduce the texture, whatever, and, fool around with the colors, fool around with the templates and the design as well. So it's the simplicity of Canva, I think, is the major thing that, attracts people and makes it so accessible to the creators.
Now, so that led to your Instagram. Was Instagram first? I mean, because you kind of have a website as well, and you also are on Goodreads and you're on LinkedIn. Is Instagram like the first one where you like really put that stuff out there?
Yeah, Instagram was the first thing that I started. And after that, I used LinkedIn as well, and then I started fooling around with Twitter also. I'm not much active on Twitter. I just post random stuff like whatever I feel like. If suppose I'm running or I'm walking, if a certain thought hit me, I'll just write it on Twitter and
Hmm.
something like that. So it's not got anything serious from my end yet, but I am, considering that I will post more content on Twitter as well.
Interesting. Now, you said you've said in posts that you were inspired by the Nike story, Shoe Dog. That
Mhm.
inspired you to read. Did that get you into reading? I mean, because you said that like uh college is kind of where you started to like develop a
Mhm.
love of books again. And you
Mhm.
also said you love the cover. So to elaborate a little more on that.
Actually, I'll just turn back a few notches on also. I'm divorced right now. I was married when I was 23.
Hmm, interesting.
Okay. I was married to a Panamanian girl, Latina. So it was a love marriage. We were in love with each other, and then it just broke off. I don't know how. So I was not in a good state of mind, emotionally, physically, or financially, the three of them.
Mm,
So for the first 7 or 8 months after the breakup, I was not in my senses, you can say. I was not happy. I was not feeling myself. So I just, I was looking for ways to escape, right? I was looking for ways to escape, or learn few things, get started, get the ball rolling. So I don't know, I was just sitting with my friend, and I just YouTube recommended a video to me of Nike, this shoe dog,
mm,
because I used to watch a lot of sneaker videos on YouTube. So
mm.
somehow YouTube suggested a video of the shoe dog book, the summary of it. So I just like the cover on YouTube. I just purchased it. I was not expecting anything. I just purchased it with my friends' money. I purchased it with my friends' money. I still
Yeah.
remember it was 309 INR here in India, Indian rupees 309, and I still have the receipt also of that. Of the invoice is still there in the book, inside the book. I don't know if it's visible for you or not, but it's
Yeah, yeah.
still
Let's
there.
see. Let's see the book.
Yeah, it's rubbed off, but it's there. I mean,
Okay,
you can't
so
see any.
what Chirag is doing right now is he's holding up the receipt for the book Shoe Dog, which I love
Yeah,
the fact that you still have that. Could you hold up the book? Do you
yeah.
have the book as well?
I can see it because I'm in front of it, but you can't see it because you are on the other side of the screen. But it's still there. The amount
Yeah.
is still there, and everything is there.
So
Uh,
so you had it. So this was a physical book.
yeah, it's a physical book.
Cool. All right. Cool. Cool. So go into like what is it about Shoe Dog that just like was it the story? Was it the hardship he had to endure? I haven't
Yeah,
actually read the book, but I kind of have an idea of what it's about.
the first thing that I really liked about it, because I was not a reader when I started it, right? So it was a challenge for me to start reading it. The storytelling was impeccable. It was out of the world. I just could not put it down. The first thing was that. The second thing was it was candid. It was not like made up. Phil Knight was not, featured as a superhero who has figured it all in the early age and is going into the entrepreneurial venture like he knows everything. Everything is sorted. He was just a timid, person, scared, and everything was so raw, so natural about him, that the way he portrayed it also in the book also, that he was nervous to tell his dad about his crazy idea about a shoe company that he was trying to form, and things like that. Like, I was fascinated by Nike already, the sneaker brand, how it got so huge, and one of the best brands of sneakers in the world right now,
So
and a
you
lot of things.
related, so you
I
related to the
kind
fact.
of, and my interest was also aligned with the sneaker thing. So I liked the brand, I liked sneakers, so they both combined into a book. And when I needed them the most, when I needed the book the most, just came to me. And that is how I found the name of my page, Books My Refuge. It's like a shelter. Books gave me shelter when I needed them, when I needed it the most, when I needed a book. Because after that I just hooked for I got hooked to reading. I just read one book after the other. So books kind of saved me from my emotional thing that was happening to me after my divorce. So they kind of sheltered me. There was a shelter of books around me. So that is how I, came to the name of the page also, Books My Refuge. It's like a shelter.
So this book, so
Mhm.
you really related to the fact that like since he was not this financial czar or literate guy, he was this guy, just a average guy who had an idea and pushed it
Mhm.
through.
and you
Yes.
saw, and he was honest about, you know, mistakes he made and stuff.
Yeah.
This doesn't really have anything to do with the point, but it's, you know, something that's interesting. Did they go
Mhm.
into a lot about, did they talk about Michael Jordan and how his, when they got
Mhm.
him, that kind of was very, he wanted to be with Adidas. He didn't even
Mhm.
want Nike, but Nike gave him the best deal. But I mean, look at that now. That was a smart deal. But it's interesting that you can see that, like, I see what you're saying. There's a lot of these, a lot of financial books or books talking
Mhm.
about entrepreneurs. It feels like they've already figured it out. They already had
Exactly.
everything figured out. Whereas here, it's just a regular guy, and you can say, I can do that too. And I
Yeah,
think
I
that's
can
kind
do
of
that.
what you liked.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So these are the things, and after that, I read a bunch of books like Rich Dad Poor Dad. I was talking about earlier also about the Steve Jobs story, Walter Isaacson, and after that, I read about a lot of things. Like whatever interested me, I just picked it up and I read it. So it just kind of the book had a emotional connect with me, the show dog, because it was the first book, and after that, I was hooked, and I'm still going strong. And reading is the the best thing that I've inculcated in my life in the last 5 years.
What
So
what is it? Because you mentioned Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that seems to
mm,
be a through line in every entrepreneur, every person that loves books, especially
mhm,
nonfiction books. Rich Dad
mhm,
Poor Dad, and I'm always fascinated. What is it about this book that just
mhm.
jumps out at you?
Look, the first thing is it teaches you a different perspective about money. You, I was under the impression that I was not aware about when I read it. I was not aware about passive income. I was not aware about, you know, how money works. When people say money attracts money, I did not know how how it works. Money attracts money. I mean how? But he explained it because I was not aware. I was just I mean I was 24 back then. I was not into the financial thing and all. So he explained it to me about paying yourself first, and instead of saving more, you need to earn more. You need to learn to increase your income sources, and you need to learn risk management. If one stream of income is coming from a risky asset, then the second stream of income should come from a stable asset. So these are the things. There are a lot of things that mentioned in the book, and it is mentioned in the form of a story. It's not mentioned in the form of you have to do this, you have to do that, this is how it goes. It's not like that. There are two dads. One kid had two dads, one rich and one poor. So it's a mindset. So poor dad was telling him to get an education, get to the college, get a good job, and then just work your ass off to up until you're 60 or 65, get retired, and then spend the rest of your life. I don't know if life is left after that or not. So that was one mindset, and the second mindset was entrepreneurial mindset, where you save money, you invest it into yourself or into a business, and you grow it exponentially. You don't grow it linearly like in a job or a salary. You just grow
Hmm.
it exponentially through investing in yourself or in a small business or something else, or into different streams you are interested in, real estate, stocks, whatever. So
Interesting.
these were the things that were mentioned in the book. So it was a game changer for me back then. It's still a game changer for me here also. But now I've read it in a lot of books. Read this thing in a lot of books.
See, it's fascinating because I've interviewed people from all different countries, and
Hmm.
we all say like the same thing. It's fascinating. People that read Rich Dad Poor Dad, they almost say the same thing, and it's fascinating that this book connects
Hmm.
all the way around the world.
Yeah.
It's not just America, it's England, it's Germany, it's India. I don't know. I think that says something about the book. that it has, and I just it seems to be the book that everybody reads and goes, I never knew it was like this, you know?
Exactly.
And it's, so it's kind of cool. I feel like it's a book that brings us all together, especially that's
Yeah.
nonfiction book readers or people that want to just entrepreneurs, people with dreams, people that just want to continue to move forward. Rich Dad Poor Dad seems to be the one that like it's like it connects all of us. So
Mhm.
I'm always fascinated by that. Another book that I love that you have on here that I don't hear it enough is The Magic of Thinking Big by David J. Schwartz. I think
Mhm.
that's one of the first books that I read. It probably after Rich Dad Poor Dad. I may have read it before, but I don't think it gets enough of a mention. And I'm gonna tell you a little bit of a story here. The first time I learned of this book, I was reading an interview in GQ. I think it was GQ or its Details with the actor Terry Crews, and he talked about that book. And I said he talked about audiobooks, and I was like, well, I'm gonna read this book.
Mhm.
And I like it. It's a very good mindset book. I think it's a nice companion to Rich Dad Poor Dad. What do you think about the magic of thinking big?
The Magic of Thinking Big. When I read it, it was I think my fourth or fifth book when I read it. It was after the one book after the Rich Dad Poor Dad. So I really like what I liked about it was uh, I still remember it and I still do it. The positive events you have to draw your thoughts from the positive memory. Suppose uh, you have a task here right now. If you delay it, right? If you say I'll do it tomorrow or I'll do it after 2 hours, right? So that thought, that pattern, that behavior is stored in your memory bank, right? So the next time you do it, you'll remember, okay, I procrastinated it the last time also. I'll procrastinate it right now as well. What's the big deal about it, right? So I don't know why you're procrastinating it. Maybe it's some kind of fear, fear of failing or fear of embarrassment or fear of anything else, right? So you will draw that thought when you again confronted with a similar or a more difficult task, right? But if you change the pattern, if you say that no, tomorrow is not the day, after 2 hours is not the time, I'll do it here right now. So the next time if a task comes, you'll draw this memory from your memory bank because last time I did it and I'm still alive. I'm still alive and I feel more confident in doing this task because last time I did it and nothing happened. Nothing happens if I talk like this. I was shy of the camera when I started the channel. I do 10 lives in a row, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. uh, Whenever someone comes to me and say I want to do a live with you, I said yes because I wanted to get out of that fear of camera. Like I don't want to be in the zone that I'm shy of camera. Uh, so the second time I said yes, I felt more confident. The third time more confident, fourth more. So it's an exponential growth. This is the thing that is mentioned in the first few pages of that book. First few
Mm.
pages, the summary of it, I'm just telling you right now. So this is what my mm, interpretation of it or learnings from that book. The fear, you have to let go of the fear through action. That is the main takeaway from the book.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, about let's talk about another book.
Mhm.
Let's talk about another book that I was really impressed with. 5 Second Rule by Mel Robbins. That's a book that I read a couple years ago, and
Mhm.
I think it's very applicable to now because it's really about taking that first step. You know, if you can give yourself 5 seconds and just do it in that 5 seconds, you do it. What is it about the 5 Second Rule by Mel Robbins that you liked?
I'll tell you uh, I just started working out last year in September, right? So after the first 2 months I was finding it difficult to sustain it, to continue it because it was very difficult. it's a pain, right? Workout is a pain, but after that you get the good feelings of it, like the everything going on. So the when I read this book, I was like, I can use that in my workouts. So
Mm,
I just
yeah.
numb my mind whenever, because every day I feel like, let's not do it today, let's not do it today. But when I first read that book, I was like, feelings are not going to be a part of my decision making. So I'll just 5 4 3 2 1 and go, and just I start doing the push-ups after the
Mm,
first set, second set, and it's like the body is all heated up and you are ready to go. You are not going to say like, okay, I'm done for the day. You'll finish your workout after that. So those first 5 seconds, the first 5 seconds is the crucial point where the mind is making a lot of excuses. No, let's not do it. Okay, I'll do it tomorrow, or it's a pain, or things like that. It happens in a lot of things, as mentioned in the book also. The
interesting. So
the
you were
initial
using it. So you were
using it in the,
using it as a fuel to get you started, with just because I think you realized that like if you just did like just started with push-ups, you'd
yeah,
keep going.
yeah,
It's that getting started thing. So that's
yeah.
kind of what you're
And
saying.
this is the activation energy that Mel Robin talked about in a chemical reaction, because it's the initial energy, the it's the maximum amount of energy required in a chemical reaction, the activation energy to activate, to start the reaction. And then the all the energy after that, it's less than the activation energy. So the first initial step is the most crucial step, and it's the hardest step to take in anything. You can it can be anything. It can be in building a website, it can be building a page, YouTube channel, working out, or any
Mm.
endeavor of your life. The first step is always the hardest. So just let's just skip the first step, like 5 4 3 2 1, and just start doing it. Just
Now,
start doing it.
when you do the 5 4 3 2 1, do you like to do it slow or do you do it fast? How are you counting in your head? I'm just curious.
I'm counting like this: 5 4 3 2 1, and I just get down.
Just go.
Yeah,
Interesting.
let's go.
Cool.
It's like that. I'm
I,
doing
I,
it, and
I
I'm consistent. From September 15, now it's May 18th. I'm quite consistent in my workouts. I've been doing it for 5 times a week, and I haven't felt better. My body haven't felt better ever since, from the last, since the day I've born. I think I feel good.
interesting.
I have my energy up, and I have everything going good in my body right now.
So that's great that you've been using it as like as propulsion, as rocket fuel to just get you to do it.
Yeah.
That's great. That's kind of one of the things I took from the book. I've given it to some people and I was like, look, use these techniques. These are some good techniques. Some have, some haven't. But I think it's very important, like if you're having a hard time, just 5 4 3 2 1,
Oh, so
start.
that is your right. So you use it like that.
Just
5 4 3 2.
you could do it like that. You could count in your
Yeah.
head. I mean, there's many different ways, but just
Just
start. Even if it's not quality, just if you can get into a habit, which is kind of what she's
mhm.
teaching you is the beginnings of a habit.
And the third thing that I really liked about the book is, it talked about, you'll never feel like it. You'll never feel like waking up, doing the running. You'll never feel like doing the first step, because a lot of times we're like, I'm not motivated. I don't feel like running. I don't feel like working out. I don't feel like doing this, blog or something. Like, I don't feel like doing a podcast with Chirag right now. I'll do it tomorrow. Things like that. So you'll never feel like to do anything in your life. You just have to numb your brain who is making excuses, and just do it.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. It's about not they just do it, as they would say in Nike. Just do it.
Nah.
So the other thing that I was fascinated with when I was doing my research is you had the top 7 books for school students, and you
Mhm.
listed Factfulness as number 1. Why
Yeah.
factfulness is number one?
There's a reason for that. When I read Factfulness, it broke a lot of myths that I conceived during my years. The first myth being that the world is a bad place and everything is going worse, pollution, global warming, rapes, and all of the things. A lot of pandemic. Before I read it before the pandemic, actually.
So there's a lot of like, the glass is half full, the glass is half empty
Yeah,
type of
exactly. I was
ideas.
a pessimist back then, kind of a pessimist.
Yeah.
So there are 10 questions at the starting of that book. The author asks 10 questions about the world, and you have to answer it. And the right answers are given on the next page. So you just have to guess. You just have to guess that how many of the questions you have got it right about the world.
Yeah.
The questions was like, how many girls were educated? I mean, if girls are more educated right now, or they were more educated before 1980s, things like that. These kind of questions. So I just tick marked it and I checked my score. I scored, I guess, 4 out of 10. And
Hmm.
they told me that a chimpanzee would have, had a better score than you. A chimpanzee would just guessed it. So we're not
Interesting.
good at guessing. We don't know anything about the world. We just assume that we know a lot of things, but we don't know nothing. It's just not about us. Even the leaders, even the world leaders were asked the same questions, and they still scored, uh, you know, a bad score than the chimpanzees, who knows nothing about the world like us. But we are in a delusion that we know a lot of things. We have all figured out this is bad, this is right, this is wrong. So we have a lot of assumption. It broke my complete entire assumption system, belief system. If I can tell you. The second thing I liked, so I wanted students, I wanted people of my age or younger than me to read that book, right?
Hmm.
So that they approach life with a more optimistic point of view, optimistic mindset. That world is not a bad place; it's improving, right? It's a game changer, right? And the second thing I liked about that book, uh, it talks about a lot of instinct. We have a negative instinct about, like, we are more attracted to negative things,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So if anything negative is happening, if a YouTube thumbnail is negative, we are more likely to click on that thumbnail rather than a positive one, right?
And I'll add to that, you're right. We are more likely to click on the YouTube comment or get upset about that, as opposed, which is here where I say the best thing is self-control, looking at it from both points of views. Like, well, maybe this person's having a bad day. It's like when somebody cuts you off in traffic or something, or cuts you off in line, you you automatically go, oh, he's deliberately trying to attack me, instead of realizing that maybe on his side, maybe he's just rushing late to work. Maybe he's got a pregnant wife in the car and he's got to get there. Maybe this is life or death. We always see it through our like he's personally
Lens, yeah.
attacking me, instead of realizing that maybe he's going through something. Maybe it's just an accident. But we're always kind of like taught to like look at it like, oh man, he's ruining my day, instead of realizing it's like, no, it's just happenstance. It's really not, it's not hurting. But yeah, so you bring up a very good point. I'll also add to that beginning with the questions is it's very, yeah, we think that we know everything that's going on in the world, but we really don't, because one, we're seeing everything through our eyes. That's the one thing, we can't do. So I look at what's the name, the guru who said, the best thing with an opinion is to have it be open, not have a
Mm.
stated opinion, because if you're open to things, then you'll be open to other sides and other sides of
Yeah.
thinking. Yeah, so I just wanted to add to that. So So I didn't know that that's what that book is about. So the book
Yeah,
really
about facts.
shifted your whole
About facts.
thoughts.
So it was the negative. A lot of instincts were there, 10 of them actually, and one of them being negative instinct. So the negative news has 6 times more chances of getting viral than a positive news,
Yeah.
right? A
Yeah.
negative tweet, you can say, has 6 times more virality factor than a positive tweet, right? So if I'm saying that gradual growth is not news, right? If
Yeah.
something has grown, if something has improved in the last 10 years, that's not news. If that one event is wrong, then that is news. So the
Yeah.
media is using it against us, that they are if you watch a news channel carefully, everything is negative about the world on a news channel.
Yeah.
Everything bad is happening. Rapes are happening everywhere, global warming, childs are getting molested. Everything is bad about it, about the world. So we watch the news and we insert ourselves in a mindset that okay, the world is a bad place, it's a scary place, everything is going bad. Now suppose you know half of the world population watches this kind of news, consumes this kind of content. How will they react in real life? They'll react
Interesting.
in a much more negative way. They are not open to opinions, they're not open to growth, they're not open to changing their beliefs. So that is a game changer. If you can shift this mindset at an early age, at a student's age, you can teach an entire generation that this is not how it goes. So that is why I've included that book in that list.
Interesting. That was great. That was fantastic. One
Yeah.
thing that you opened that I didn't realize is it sounds like your news is kind of going through the same cycle that is going here in the United States, where everything is negative. So that's kind of interesting that we're we try to think that like oh, in the other world it's completely different, but I feel like from what you're telling me, a lot of things are similar. That we're all being just pushed with this negative news, and then they put a little bit of positive news at the end of the broadcast, which
Mhm.
kind of show. So I like what you're saying. That factfulness is something that can change that, shift us into a
Mhm.
thing because it's at a young age, and then we'll start having people who'll start looking at the news and be like, maybe if we start producing more positive news, we
Mhm.
wouldn't, it doesn't always have to be negative. It's like we're kind of almost brainwashed in some ways to
Yeah,
think
yeah.
negative and to go into that thing. That's interesting though, that's why you picked it. And I think that's really good. I never would have thought of that. That's
Listeners,
why
I
you
would.
picked that.
I haven't watched news for the last uh, 3.5 years, I guess. I don't watch news after I've read Factfulness. I don't watch it.
Yeah.
I don't want to consume that kind of media. I can't change the news channels. I can't change their lust for TRPs and people's attention. I can't change that. But I can change the remote is in my hands. I can change whatever I want. I don't watch the news
Yeah.
from the
You can
last 3.5.
control you
Right.
and your thoughts. That's the one thing I don't think people realize is like
Yeah.
a lot of people go, well, it's the news's fault. It's like, no, you at the end of the day are controlling what's going in. You can change the channel,
Yeah.
you can stop. You control what you think and you can control what you watch.
Yeah.
That's the control you do have. And a lot of people think that like we have no control. It's like, no, you have control over you. You don't have
Mhm.
control over the other things, but you can control
Yeah.
you. And in some
Yeah.
ways that's enough. This, a lot of people, eh, we've become a
It's simple.
society now of blaming,
Yourself
you
in
know.
the world, right? If you are changed, the world is changed around you. It's all about the perspective, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So, switching gears a little bit, I wanted to get a little bit more into you. So, how long do you like to read?
How long?
Yeah.
Actually, I like in the morning around 30 to 40 minutes, I guess. Some, if I'm not able to read in the morning, I'll read in the afternoon or in the evening. So there is no uh, proper time that I sit and read, right? Whenever I get the time, whenever I'm done with my day or done with my work, I just start reading, or I start reading prior to my work sometimes as well. And sometimes I don't read at all as well, right? I'm not like I have to read, I have to read, it's a chore, I have to do it. When I feel like it, I just pick up a book. Sometimes I read 10 pages, sometimes I read 50 pages, sometimes I read 100 pages, and sometimes I read zero. So there is no
Mm.
schedule to it. Although initially I had it, now I know that I'm a reader from my heart because I love books. I love after 5 years of reading, I can say that I'm not going to leave books or not read it at all. Yeah, my habit will be uh, you know disconnected from my life. But initially I used to read proper 1 hour when I used to go to my office and back. When I come back from my office, I used to read for 1 hour because the commute was for 1 hour. So
Interesting.
2 hours, 2 hours of reading for 1.5 year, and that inculcated the habit of reading in me. So if you are a new reader, you can just start with few pages, a chapter maybe. You can start with a chapter a day. If the chapter is really long, you can just start with 10 to 5 pages a day, so that you don't feel like it's a chore, it's a thing that I have to do. You don't feel a resistance to reading. If you follow it smoothly, there's a I would say scientific fact also about this. The amygdala in our brains
Mm.
creates resistance. It's like uh, it's a fight or flight. Uh, I'm saying it wrong, I guess. There's something else. I'm
Yeah,
not
the fight or flight system
fight or
is
flight.
something that
This is from the amygdala, but yeah, the brain creates the resistance. If you're saying that I will read 100 pages a day at the start of your reading journey, the brain will create a lot of resistance for you, right? You'll
yeah.
not be able to finish the 100 pages. But if you'll trick your brain, if you'll say to your brain, I'll just read five, okay, if you like the first five, you can read the other five. If you like the next five, you can read the other five. But don't
Yeah.
pressurize or stress yourself into saying that I will finish 100 pages no matter how. Just start with five. Start small and build gradually. That's good advice.
So it kind of feeds into the Mel Robbins thing of just start.
Yeah.
If you just start, you can get one thing I wanted to ask, do you use a tracking advice for rating?
Lately, I've been using this time blocking thing, right? So I just set a timer in my cell phone, and for 60 minutes or whatever. So it's just I read it for 60 minutes. So it's kind of a discipline that you don't have to check the notification, you don't have to check your laptop, you don't have to check anything. It's a distraction free environment, and you just have to read for 60 minutes. Sometimes I do that
Interesting.
as well.
Do you one thing I've noticed, do you like to do, what do you think of speed reading?
I don't think it's a good idea because uh, first of all, you have to absorb what you read. You don't have to boast about it in a party that I've read 10 books in a month. What is the point of speed reading? Just finish the number of books in a certain month or a week and just boast about it that I read a lot of books and I did that, did this. I personally think the point of reading non-fiction books is to take your life from point A to point B. If books are not able to do that for you, either you're speed reading, either you're slow reading, it's accomplishing nothing, right?
Mm.
If you were at point A when you started reading, right, and after 1 year of reading you are not at point B incrementally, right? So the purpose of reading is not there. It's not accomplished yet, I would say. You can either
So
speed read or you can absorb what you read. But if your life is there, still there, stagnant, there's no point of reading because you're not applying what you're reading.
yeah. Now, see, I would add to that. I see what you're saying, like it becoming a means goal where you're just, trying to get to the top and, get this, however many books you've set. I've heard good things about it. I've heard bad things. Well, that not necessarily bad things. I've heard, some people that agree with speed reading and some people that disagree with speed reading. One of the points I've heard on speed reading is that, say you're driving in your car, if you're going 45 miles an hour, you're gonna, kind of, look around. It's gonna get boring. I'll play around with the radio. I'll do this and that. If you're going
Mhm.
75, 80, 100 miles an hour, your focus is going to be very much on there because it's very, one, you're in a car, so, you could die. So there's the risk of failure is, very thin, but
Mhm.
you're very focused. You're not going to be fiddling with the radio because you're going to be so focused on being there. So that's one of the things that I've heard from people that said, like,
Mhm.
is that it will reading slower doesn't necessarily mean you're going to concentrate more. You may concentrate even more with it. I think it goes twofold. My problem with speed reading is I'm not seeing enough. I'm seeing people that can teach it in the beginning, but I'm not seeing enough of it being taught in in a to keep it going. Like I did speed reading for a while, and then it kind of dropped off, and then I came back to it. This is a fascinating book. If you can
Okay.
get your hands on it, Speed Reading by Tony Buzan.
Okay.
He really puts a lot of interesting perspectives. Like, look, he realizes that the eye will pick up things a lot faster than you actually think. So if we're looking at like this two
Mhm.
lines, you would go straight to the other line and almost trust that that you have actually seen it. So there's two
Mhm.
schools of thought. I mean, I see the benefits of both. There's,
Mhm.
you can do that. My problem with speed reading is probably the term speed reading. It
Mhm.
sounds like it sounds it
You're
it
not
doesn't
reading.
I don't think it means what it's supposed
Mhm.
to mean. It sounds like, you're just racing through the book. So I think part of the thing is we got to figure out a different term for that. But anyways, I'm
Yeah.
curious, I like to ask people that because I'm hearing different schools of thought from all
Mhm.
over. Some people are completely against it, some people are for it, some people are here, some people in the middle. I think there's something that we can learn from it. The thing that I like about it is the option to do it. So if you
Mhm.
choose to slow read, we could do that, choose to do it. I'm not finding enough of a way to learn it in a way that stays with you. I feel
Mhm.
like I feel like it's so much work to learn, and then it doesn't stay unless you keep up that level of work.
Mhm.
So I've seen apps that have looked at it, but it's not really done enough. So that's kind of my thought process, and I see what you're saying and everything. Another thing I wanted to ask you about is the what do you think about e-readers, Kindles, things like that? How do you feel about that?
I did a lot of ebook reading. Yeah, I did not have
Yeah.
this. I don't have device. I'll tell you why. Because when I started reading, when I used to come back from work, right? I was in a bus, and it was around 7:30 in the night, right? So the light in the bus was not that great.
Mm,
In the bus was not that great. So I used phones during that time of the commute to read, right? I
wow.
used to finish books when I used to come back, and I used to read physical books when I used to go to my office. So that is how and I was introduced to these format of books. So when I started reading them, a lot of I was not comfortable with reading on a device. I wanted my device to be in my pocket, silent, without the notifications. I just was more distracted towards when I was reading ebooks or I haven't tried Kindle yet, but
Here's
the
here's what I
screen
would
thing,
add.
the screen thing doesn't work for me. That is what I'm saying.
Here's what I would add to that. The thing I like about the Kindle is you can't do anything else with it. You
Exactly. I
can't
know.
you can't text, you can't do so like when I get your point. Like when you're on a phone, yeah, notification, email,
Hmm.
this, YouTube video, this and that. Can't do any of that. All you can do is read on here. So it's designed specifically for reading. That's one of the things I like about it. The other thing I like about it is that I can actually, if I travel, I don't know if you're like me and you bring the wrong book with you. And you're like, oh no, what am I gonna do? And I'm stuck with the wrong, like I didn't want to bring this book, you know? And you're on a plane ride. So I like that the idea is like, okay, I can just, pick the thing. So I think it's really good for travel. But what I like about the
Hmm.
Kindle is it separates all that other stuff. You, you can't surf on the internet. You can't do anything. So in some ways, it gives you the same signal as a book. If we're talking Atomic Habits of like that, that notification that's like, okay, it's time to read now, which you get with a book. Whereas, yeah, when you pick up a phone or whatever, it's very easy to get distracted. I have no idea how you read with a phone. I barely can read even a script
I've
with a phone.
read book of the biggest book that I've read in the ebook format. It was
Yeah.
500 pages. It was called Death from Deathlessness by Osho. It's a spiritual book. Uh,
Wow.
it was around 30k rupees in Indian rupees. The
Yeah.
price, it was quite costly. It was like you can say $300. $300 USD was the price of that book. So
To get it, you get it physical, is what you're saying.
yeah, physically, yeah. So I just thought that I download it and I just
Yeah.
read it. Let's just see what's in it in a $300 book. So I just
Yeah.
read it. It was so fascinating. It literally blew my mind at that time. And I took various screenshots and I outlined certain paragraphs, certain quotes, and things like that. So that was the book. That was the last book that I read. I think on the biggest book that
Yeah.
I've read on Kindle or the ebook format.
Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. I mean, yeah, there's no reason to buy a $300 book unless you're a collector of like special books.
Yeah,
If you just
unless
want
you're
to
a
read,
collector. Yeah,
yeah, if you just want to read the material,
yeah.
shouldn't have to pay $300 just to read something. So there you go. That's another thing. Yeah, the ebooks, it can be cheaper. It opens the door. But yeah,
Mm,
it's just like anything else. It's there's pluses and minuses to everything. So one of the things one of the last things I want to ask you about is give me I want to give me a top 5 favorite books, but not specifically. What would you say are your top favorite books that people need to read that they don't know they need to read?
okay. The first book I would say is the Almanac of Naval Ravikant. It is the first book that I would recommend to people. It's not
Hmm.
advertised or marketed enough on Bookstagram or Instagram, I would say. It
Hmm.
has a lot of good things. It talks about happiness. It talks about wealth. It talks about purpose, and a lot of other things. It's just filled with truth bombs, I would say. Every
Interesting.
other line you'll read and you'll like, okay. You'll stare at the walls and you'll like, what did I just read?
Hmm.
I haven't thought of that before. Every other line, every other paragraph is like that. So it's really
Wow.
great. I would recommend it to a lot of people, to everybody. I would say. The second thing I would say, a lot of people are aware of it. The Four Agreements, right? It's a great book.
Done.
So when I read the agreement about not taking things personally, and all of the things that people are doing are not because of you, is because of themselves. It was like, really, how did that come? And when that truth sink in, you feel lighter. You start to feel like it's not okay to take everything personally, right? It's a game changer for your peace of mind,
Hmm. Interesting.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the
I would.
third that I would recommend is The Daily Stoic. It's by Ryan Holiday. It's on the Stoicism philosophy.
Yeah.
It has 365 chapters for 365 days, one page for every day of the year. You can read it for an entire year, or you can read it as you want. The pages are short, the lessons are short, uh, quite impactful, and you just have to read it before your work to for the extra motivation, for the extra, you know, it just inspires you inside out every day, because it is designed that way.
Hmm.
I've been reading it for
Interesting.
around 1.5 years. Every day, one page.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Those are good books.
The
Uh,
fourth book I would say, uh, I've recently finished this book. I would say I will recommend it. The Courage to be Disliked.
hmm. Is that Ryan Holiday as well?
No, it's
No, no.
name.
Oh,
I don't know the name of the author because mm, it's difficult to pronounce the name, I guess.
the
Kumi
courage to be.
Toga and Ichiro Kishimi. The Courage to be Disliked. This is the book. If you have to search it, this is
Yeah,
what
I've
it looks.
seen. Yeah, I've seen that book. So
Yeah,
that's really good.
yeah. It's a it talks about a lot of things, like suppose everything that you do is to achieve a goal. Basically, it's saying that if you are in anger, if you talk with someone with an angry mode, you that thing, that person is just a medium. Your anger is just a medium to communicate. It's to achieve a goal. You are going to get angry at some point of the other, right?
Hmm.
But you do it for certain reasons. So it's a deep concept. I just can't explain it in few minutes. It's a really deep book. So I would recommend it to people, not all of them, not early readers, because they won't be able to understand it, quite frankly. But it's a great book. It shatters a lot
Interesting.
of beliefs, and it has shattered a lot of beliefs that I held. So this is what I like
Interesting.
about books, because whenever I feel comfortable with my beliefs, this is how the thing goes, this is how the world works, and a book comes up and I'm like, really? And all of my beliefs, some of my beliefs are broken, and that is the part that I like about reading the most.
Yeah, it
Shatters your
shifts
belief.
your. It, it
Yeah, it
shifts.
shifts your
It shifts your
perspective. Yeah,
beliefs.
yeah. You form better beliefs, you form better relationships, you become a better individual by forming better beliefs. So
Interesting.
these are all things that are included in
And
the
then
thing. Yeah.
the fifth
So
book.
fifth book, I would say there are a lot of books, right? A lot of
Yeah.
great books, but if fifth, I'm quite literally blank right now because a lot of books are there, right? I would say Atomic Habits. I would say because uh, Compound Effect. I forgot the a lot of
Yeah.
books. You know,
Yeah. Those
Compound
are good.
is Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits is there. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck is there. So these are the three more books I'd like to add. If it's included in the five or eight, I would say.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So I always ask everybody this: what is your beginning of the day routine?
I wake up. One second. Yeah. I wake up at around 8:30. I am not an early riser. I don't wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I would be quite, frank
Yeah,
about it.
I
That's not.
agree. I just want to add one thing that, yeah, because you brought up, you were kind of alluding to the 5 a.m. club type thing. I feel like, yeah, it becomes religion. It's like, it's not about what time you wake up, it's what you do at that time. And what the
Exactly.
5 a.m. club book is trying to teach you is that get your day started ahead of things. It doesn't matter what time you wake up. It works for a lot of people at 5 a.m. because nobody's up at that time. So they
Mhm.
can they can get a head start on their thing. But it doesn't matter what time you get up. It matters what you do with that time. So
Yeah.
just want to throw that out there because you brought up that, and I was like, yeah, there seems to be this thing like that.
Yeah.
People who are early risers are like better than other,
Success
and it's like
much more.
I don't think so. I think it's the work that you put in. I see what you're saying. You're getting ahead of the game, but 5 a.m. might not work for you. Sleep time,
Yeah.
with your biological clock.
8:30 works for me, so I'm doing it. And
Exactly.
sometimes I wake up early also, 6:30 also. If I'm now it's summer here, so I'll probably get started with running in a couple of days. So I'll start early. I'll wake up
Yeah.
at 6:30, and I'll just go for a jog and come back and do my workout and start my day like that. But right now, I would say I wake up at around 8:30. I do my workout. After around, I drink a glass of water and do my workout for around 40 minutes. And after that, I take my bath and come back, turn on my laptop, do some work. And then if I get some chance of free time, I just start reading few pages here and there, a chapter or two. And after that, I just work some more. I take a nap of about 30-ish minutes in the afternoon. Uh, so
So you're
I just feel
following so it's kind of like what Napoleon Hill and Edison have talked about, the nap. But sometimes you wake up from like a 30-minute nap, you feel even more energized to do
it's not a
more.
regular thing. I would say it's not a regular that I have to take it no matter what. But sometimes it happens, just organically happens. 30 minutes, and after that I work. In between these things, I take my meals. I forgot that. In the breakfast, the lunch, and things like that, the tea, everything. In the evening, I read. I There's nothing else I have to do, so I just read. Right. I read of around one. If I'm following a routine, I would say I would read 1.5 hour, 90 minutes. I would say I would read, and after that I take a walk, talk with my friends or things like that. And after that I do the content creation part after the after I come back from my walk, because a lot of ideas are floating around when I walk, and I record them in my voice note when I'm walking na. I record them or write them in my WhatsApp folder. I message myself these ideas if I get them. So I just sit there, do some content creation part, and then I eat my dinner and I go to sleep. I would say my screen time is not ideal. It has to be lower, but I'm trying to control it. I'm trying to consume better things during my screen time.
Hmm.
Right? Uh, I used to scroll a lot of Instagram, social media, and I wasted a lot of time in that. But I got a grip of it slowly.
Yeah.
And but now I use my screen time effectively. I watch podcasts, I watch some good videos, good content, and then I go to sleep.
So interesting. So yeah, you basically answered my second question. The nighttime routine is basically reading. So that's cool. Is there anything else you do at nighttime to wind down, or is just
uh Sometimes if I'm reading a good fiction book, na, if I've started reading some good fiction, suppose right now I'm reading The Forest of Enchantments. It's from an Indian author. So after this podcast, na, I'll probably read a few pages of that, and I'll just sleep.
cool?
A
So
good
last
fiction.
question. Wait, no. Finish your point. Finish your point.
A good fiction to wind up my day, to slow things down. If it's a thriller, then it's best, because thrillers are like they'll keep you awake at night for 1 or 2 hours. It's like you need the answers, what will going to happen in the end pages. So these are the things that I like doing in at after the evening, I would say, in the evening or after the evening.
So, last question.
Yeah.
We've talked a little bit about it, but so what films or television do you like?
What exactly?
What
Sorry.
films or television do you like?
I like recently I watched the Batman movie, and I like Hollywood, Bollywood, and I
Oh,
like
really?
to, yeah, I
You,
like to
you
watch a
saw
lot
the
of
Bat
series.
you saw the
Yeah,
Batman. What
the
did you think of
Christian
the
Bale.
Batman?
It was really good. It was a realistic movie, I would say. It was not a happy ending. It was not like everything is lovey-dovey at the end and everything is gone quiet. The villain is killed by the hero, and world is a good place now. So it was different. It was a realistic film that, yes, we have prisoned him in jail, but he is still there. He is still planning something, and the city is full of shit, and we have to repair it. And the world will not be a better place after that, but we'll keep trying to make it a better place. So that was the message I think I've got from that film, and the action was amazing also. So I enjoyed it. It's a long movie, not I'm used to. It's a 3 hour movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. But I feel like in order to tell that story, you kind of needed 3 hours. You had so many characters in
Every
there.
Batman movie is like that long. The Dark Knight Rises was around this timing also.
How
And
do you feel how do you feel about the new Batman as opposed to Christian Bale or Michael Keaton?
I honestly I like Christian Bale more. I don't know why. I
Interesting.
just I don't know about his bar tone or his the way he acts, or probably because of the villain of the previous movies, the Joker and the other guy that I
Yeah.
don't remember the name of.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight Rises is the other villain, or
Bane.
the
Bane. Bane.
Bane. Yeah, Bane. So overall, I like the combination of Christian Bale with them, and not this. It was not ideal for me, but the storyline was quite good, so I
Hmm.
liked it. But not so. Christian Bale is my favorite, and then the Robert Pattinson, I would say.
Interesting. Cool. Cool. That's awesome. What yeah, what else are you watching? Anything else?
Anything else? I watched the web series also, Indian and the Hollywood. And if you'll ask my favorite, I'll say Game of Thrones, except the last season. And
Yes. Yes, I think we all feel that way.
that sort of thing. Yeah.
All right. Well, sir, this was great. Thank you so much. I
Yeah, thank
appreciate
you.
you doing this. How can people reach you?
People can reach me on Instagram at Books My Refuge, and on Twitter also at Books My Refuge. And I've been working on a blog lately, so probably there also after some months.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this. And
Thank
yeah,
you for
thank you.
having me here.
Okay, that about does it for this interview. I want to thank Books My Refuge, Chirag. If you need to find him, you can DM him for paid book promotions on Instagram at Books My Refuge. Once again, thank you. I'm sorry about the audio problems, and I will, well, as always, you can find me at Justin Yance, and I will see you next time on the DMF.